Daveigh Chase shocked audiences as a vengeful ghost haunting a cursed videotape, and melted hearts as a little girl fighting for her family against insurmountable odds. But where is she now, and how did she get there? Before Daveigh Chase wowed audiences with her terrifying performance in the American remake of the iconic Japanese horror movie Ringu, she appeared on television. As a child actor, Chase landed bit roles on shows like Sabrina the Teenage Witch before graduating to named roles on series like Charmed and ER. Chase continued to appear on small screens post The Ring, including an appearance as a murder victim on CSI: Crime Scene Investigation.
Mom, you're being ridiculous! Where the hell do you think you're going? I've given you everything!
Chase would go on to star alongside Jake and Maggie Gyllenhaal in Richard Kelly's 2001 cult doomsday classic Donnie Darko as Samantha Darko. While her role is comparatively small to her on-screen sibling, it would lead her into a starring role several years later in the 2009 sequel, S. Darko: A Donnie Darko Tale. Collectively, however, Chase's early years were as conventional as they come for most aspiring actors in the Hollywood waiting game, taking on bit parts and supporting roles whenever available. While her performance in The Ring certainly helped introduce Chase to the live-action world, perceptive viewers might have noticed that Chase had already found plenty of early success in animated voice work. In 2001, she voiced the protagonist Chihiro in the English-language version of Hayao Miyazaki's Oscar-winning feature film Spirited Away, the only hand-drawn animated feature to receive the honor to date. While Spirited Away arguably remains Miyazaki's most popular work in the United States, English dubs from the Studio Ghibli library can usually be hit or miss. However, Chase's performance as Chihiro is often considered an earnest and profoundly moving standout. Chase would continue to cement her voiceover credibility as Lilo in Disney's 2002 hit animated feature Lilo and Stitch. Since Disney has had a long-standing and often problematic relationship with Studio Ghibli, even supervising the dub for Spirited Away, it's safe to assume Chase's roles in both are probably connected behind the scenes. And much like with the Ghibli classic, Chase's performance in Lilo and Stitch grounds the innate humanity of the animated romp. Stitch doesn't speak for long stretches of the film, so Chase is largely responsible for cultivating the movie's themes of found family and acceptance. With its stellar opening sequence, highly influential cinematography, and genuine scares, The Ring is still remembered and respected 2 decades later for a good reason. If anything, time has been even kinder to the film, with some elevating its status to a modern horror masterpiece. Aggressively frightening, oppressive, and nihilistic, The Ring would continually inspire a sizable amount of post-millennium horror, remaining a standout against the gruesome French extremism and torture porn subgenres to come.
You don't want to hurt anyone.
But I do.
Chase's Samara Morgan comes across at first as a sympathetic and aggressively misunderstood young girl. Glimpsed in expositional archival footage and flashbacks, the film's early moments suggest Samara was doomed from the start. Her parents isolated her and subjected her to cruel medical care, with her mother Anna eventually suffocating her and dropping her body into a well. Only Samara managed to survive for 7 days, which would become her curse's trademark timeline. While the investigative journalist Rachel frees Samara in the 3rd act, assuming her to be a victim, Samara intends to continue spreading her curse. Rachel's actions ultimately cost the life of her ex-boyfriend Noah. Chase deserves much of the credit for investing the audience in Samara's twisted goals and simultaneous need for sympathy. She's a horror villain who threatens to break hearts as often as she mangles them. The blockbuster status of Disney's Lilo and Stitch translated into the direct-to-video sequel Stitch, the movie, with the sequel faring fairly typically when compared to Disney's direct-to-video sequels in the early aughts. Chase reprised her role as Lilo in the sequel, as well as the 65-episode Disney Channel series, Lilo and Stitch: The Series, which aired from 2003 to 2006. Chase also voiced Lilo for the 2006 tie-in television movie Leroy and Stitch. Chase remained closely tied to Disney, voicing Lilo in several video game adaptations, and guest starring on the network's safety patrol comedy Fillmore. But during this time, Chase stayed committed to live-action performing too. She co-starred as the protagonist's best friend, Joyce, in the short-lived Fox sitcom Oliver Bean. The early aughts were remarkably busy for Chase, and soon would transition into more daring work. One of Chase's most notable roles arrived in 2006 with the premiere of HBO's Big Love. It can be easy to forget, but alongside other HBO juggernauts like Entourage and Sex and the City, Big Love was a big deal in the mid to late aughts. The drama series followed the late Bill Paxton's Bill Henrickson, the patriarch of a fundamentalist Mormon family, and the trials and tribulations of polygamy in contemporary Utah. Big Love proved considerably more even-handed than its premise sounds, though Chase was anything but when playing the character Rhonda, the bride-to-be for series antagonist Roman Grant. Rhonda, a deeply manipulative, pathological liar, wants to be a celebrity in New York City, and regularly treats those around her as a means to an end.
I'm not going to live at some machine shop in Wyoming. I'm staying here, and you better make sure that happens.
At just 15 when the show premiered, Chase proved she was more than capable of acting alongside major league talent. That league featured the likes of Jean Triplehorn, Chloe Sevigny, and Jennifer Goodwin, with Chase never falling behind for a second. Chase would play Rhonda through Big Love's second season before the character was transitioned into a recurring guest spot. To fill the time as the decade came to a close, Chase returned to animation, voicing the lead in PBS's single-season series Betsy's Kindergarten Adventures. Chase played Betsy, a 5-year-old having a difficult time acclimating to life in kindergarten. The short-lived show aired from January to September 2008, with Chase on board for all 24 episodes. While it's difficult to say for certain, Chase seemed more at ease in animated fare, her voice often affording her characters an excess of personality. While a lot has been claimed about celebrity stunt casting in animated roles, Chase bucks this trend with an earnest commitment to an admittedly difficult craft. Chase's role in The Ring carried all the way through 2017. While Kelly Stables would take over the part in The Ring 2, a sequel directed by series creator Hideo Nakata, and Bonnie Morgan assumed the role in the 2017 quasi-reboot Rings, archival footage of Chase's original performance supplemented the series' ever-growing mythology. As a result, Chase's high-profile connection with the franchise helped her transition to more mature leading roles, most notably in the Donnie Darko sequel, S. Darko: A Donnie Darko Tale. While original Donnie Darko director Richard Kelly claimed in an interview with Pop Matters to have never seen S. Darko, and asserting that he never would, it was Chase's first opportunity at leading a feature film. While S. Darko failed to launch an extended Donnie Darko movie franchise, the movie did showcase Chase's newfound on-screen maturity and confidence. Though the movie is more a novelty than anything else, Chase successfully branched out into thematically rich territory, while keeping a foot in the animated fare that defined her early career. Chase continued acting into the 2010s, though the legacy of her work undoubtedly suffered. With lead roles in Killer Crush and Wild and Blue, among others, Chase remained quite active, though many of these projects had limited exposure with audiences. They were most often small, independent projects and provided considerably smaller platforms than even S. Darko. While she co-starred in the horror feature Jack Goes Home, which premiered at the 2016 South by Southwest Film Festival, it's a movie even horror fans aren't too inclined to remember.
Your best friend.
You're my best friend!
best friend!
My best friend! Are you gonna fix anything?
While it's common for performers to hit something of a sophomore slump, especially seasoned child actors transitioning into more mature adult roles, Chase never necessarily recovered from this extended slump. While archival footage in Rings would technically give Chase another major theatrical outing, it was peripheral at best. In 2016, Chase starred in her last feature film, the serial killer thriller American Romance, a movie which the Daily Herald called deathly dull and just plain icky. The Daily Herald's review remains the only prominent feature discussing the movie that's still readily available online in 2023, with American Romance being consigned to obscurity despite being less than a decade old. Coincidentally, the decline in Chase's screen presence occurred with her simultaneous disappearance from social media. While her Instagram account remains online, she hasn't posted anything since November 2017. Her X account has been inactive since 2014. Even her Tumblr account, the relic of many an angsty millennial, is dated, with one of her most recent posts being the poster of the 2011 action comedy film Violet and Daisy. Last year, Disney announced plans to remake Lilo and Stitch as a live-action feature, helmed by Dean Fleischer Camp, director of the popular Marcel the Shell with Shoes On short film series, as well as the breakout Academy Award-nominated feature film of the same name. Presently, there's no public information on Chase returning to the franchise in any capacity. And in April of this year, it was announced that newcomer Maya Kealoha would be playing Lilo. However, being left out of Lilo and Stitch feels inconsequential compared to Chase's recent troubles. In 2019, the Daily Mail reported that Chase had been arrested on misdemeanor charges stemming from a 2018 warrant for drug possession and paraphernalia. Chase reportedly spent a night in jail before posting bail. The actor had been charged with felony driving in November 2017 after being arrested 10 months prior when she left a dying man in a car outside a hospital. The man was later pronounced dead from a suspected overdose. Recently, Chase was arrested again on July 23rd of 2023. The Los Angeles Superior Court has confirmed that Chase's arrest was for burglary. It seems unlikely that Chase will return to the screen anytime soon on account of these ongoing legal troubles. And the best the public can hope for is that she gets well soon. Samara Morgan is a bona fide horror icon, and no matter what, Daveigh Chase is responsible for making her terrifying legacy what it is today.